Hey guys, got some interesting gear today. We'll save that for the last bit just for fun. We have the spoiler blade, a vintage blade from Gillette. This is either a 15 or a 21, a Gillette Aristocrat from England. And there were a few 15s made with the solid bar, but more 21s were made. And you can see it's got the flat base plate, the solid base plate. So that's how we know it's either a 15 or a 21. If what was the number? No, I can't remember if it was like a 22 or a 58. If this had the diamond base plate, then that makes it something different. But I can't recall right now. The brush we're going to be using is the Paladin. Second time using it, and of course it's a Badger. The tips don't seem super soft, and it's very dense, and so it's got some backbone because of that density. This is the Lotus handle, and it's I think it's the Graphite is the coloring. It's not just pure black. And this will be my second time using it. I've been trying to get a good Paladin brush that kind of matches what I like to have, a good grip with easy splay. And because of the density of the Paladins, that's proving to be a little difficult. But then also soft tips. There are some very relaxed Paladins that really kind of lay over, but they have kind of raw tips that aren't really all that soft. Now here's the interesting part, and I've previewed it a couple times because I've held it up showing you different things. But just for fun, we're going to shave using a bar soap today, but not just any bar soap. This is a bar of Stirling bar soap, the hand soap that Stirling has, and I have plenty of it around. Matter of fact, see, within arm's reach, I've got two of these guys because they're recent orders. Detonate's a great scent, and this is pretty much the size of the bar of soap. And this one's called Sophisticated or Sophisticate. Kind of a ambery, lightly woody scent that's just not very strong at all. I did use it in a shower once. I believe with this little case that came from the Dollar Tree, I ended up not using very many of these because of these rounded. I couldn't stack them, and I had so many Stirling soaps that I wanted to be able to stack them. And so I switched to cases that were kind of like these little storage things from the Dollar Tree. And I can drill holes in the top to allow for the not to get moldy and the water to eventually work its way out. But that's what I use now because, as you can see, they stack really nicely. Obviously, if you're just going to have a place where one soap is going to be stored, then this is a little bit better because this has these ridges at the bottom, and that keeps the soap from sitting in and sticking to the bottom of the thing and sitting in its own moisture, that kind of thing. I was just curious about Stirling soap. I've used several different hand soaps on my channel before, just for fun. I've used just the straight Palmolive hand soap to make a lather. I've used Pear's glycerin soap from the Dollar Tree. Makes a great lather. Not a great smell because that's kind of a medicinal anise type scent, but a wonderful lather. I've used Sugar Soap Works, a great lather from the Dollar Tree. I've used Yardley. They have a goat's milk and buttermilk or something like that. Shea buttermilk, that's it. Yardley, kind of like Sugar Soap Works, makes a great lather. Well, not great. I mean, it doesn't compete with like Barrister and Mann and Sterling and that kind of thing, but it's very creamy and it works really well for $1. If you're a budget shaver, I would check those out. Sugar Soap Works and the Yardley are the two that give you a creamy lather that's very slick and works really well for just $1 at the Dollar Tree. The Pear's glycerin soap also is highly functional, wonderful slick lather. I couldn't believe it, right? But it's just that kind of that medicinal smell is not nearly as good as the first two options. So anyway, I've brought some bar soaps to this channel. I think I used Kirk's Castile once because I saw it at Walmart. It looked kind of vintagey, but it did not make a good shaving lather. It worked, but it wasn't creamy at all. It dissipated. It just wasn't designed to be a shaving soap at all. Okay, so along that line, Stirling, they obviously they have soaps that are meant for shaving, and they come in tubs similar to this. This is the 6-ounce tub that they have, and they also have their shaving soap in 3-ounce if you buy a seasonal. Now, I don't know that Sophisticate was a shaving soap as well as a hand soap, because sometimes they only make the hand soaps. Sometimes they'll make the whole lineup, you know. Just like Texas on Fire, they did a hand soap for them, I believe. And so Sophisticate, though, just a big old brute of a bar, and something that hit me as I was kind of thinking and preparing about this shave. They have samples of hand soap that they send out on a regular basis with orders from Stirling. And here is an example. Stirling soap, Texas on Fire. And as you can probably see, it's front-wise the same size. But then it's what they've done is just taken their block. I'm sure they have a big old brick that they've made all at once of soap, and then they just made smaller slices for samples of the hand soap. Now, when I use these as bars of hand soap in the shower, that kind of thing, what I like to do is these will get pretty bendy. You can get a good many shaves, showers, uses out of this as a hand soap, but they'll kind of break in the middle as it gets bendy as you're using it, right? But what I do is I will cut it in half this way, and then I'll get the two halves and I'll make them a little bit moist on each side, and I'll fold those two sides together, and so it's two halves on top of each other, and it's a thicker but smaller bar, but it's thicker, and that thickness, that doesn't break, and so that piece will last longer and be easier to manage, unless of course you don't mind when this breaks, because maybe you'll stick these shards in some kind of a soap sock or something like that, and you'll get to use them anyway. But I like to do the fold in half and stick them together method. I press them really hard together and let them dry, and then they won't separate from that point on. So this is what a freebie looks like when you get a bath soap freebie from a Stirling order. Again, that's Texas on Fire. And so very generous with what they do. And so I was thinking, what if I took that same bath soap sample, I did my cut it in half thing, and now I've got a thicker but less wide bar of soap. What if that was a travel shave stick? It's very small, great for travel. What if then I could use it like a shave stick? We'll do this a little bit later with this bigger, thicker bar. You get your face wet, you rub it all over, and what if that made a great lather? What a great travel item, right? So if this works out, then that means that what a great way to use your samples. If you have trouble using up some of your samples from Stirling in terms of these hand soaps, what a great way to use it up as a shave soap. Now, obviously, if it made a great shave soap, Stirling would be using this as their shave soap, right? So I'm not expecting it to be as good as their actual shave soap. But wouldn't it be cool if it was really pretty nice? Because then you could carry it with you on trips and use it as the body soap in the shower as well as a shave soap, and that would be kind of convenient, wouldn't it? And of course, you've got access to the big catalog of scents from Stirling. All right, and I do want to take a second to point out that the idea was told to me. It may have been Warren, I believe, who mentioned it. I can't remember who exactly. I think it was last year sometime. And he had this great idea. It seemed great to me. And what he did was, instead of buying samples from Stirling, if he was curious about a scent, he would, if they had a bath hand soap, if they had the bath bar with it, then he would buy the bar instead of a sample. Now, he wouldn't be able to shave, of course, with it, but he would be able to use it in the shower as a shower soap, and then apprehend the scent, get a hold of that scent, try it out at that point. And then he would know, do I like this soap enough to buy the shaving soap or not? Now, from the description, you're pretty much going to be able to know whether you're going to like or not like the scent in general. Okay. And so his point was, even if you don't like a soap that you've ordered from Stirling, even if you don't like it, you're still probably going to be okay with it in the shower. What a great idea. And these only cost a few dollars more, technically maybe twice as much, but a few dollars more than the samples do. And then they're going to give you a good many showers with it. And so I think they represent that's a good idea. That's a good idea. And I've made use of that idea a few times already. So, the bar of Sophisticate. Now, I had to use it a couple times to get it to fit down in this particular one. These are kind of bigger than your average soap bar. And so some of the soap containers at cheaper places like a Dollar Tree and stuff won't exactly fit your soap bar right away, but just use it a few times and it reduces a little bit. All right, so I'm going to get my face wet. I'm going to load up the spoiler blade into the 21. I believe 21 is the right number for this guy. Some ways in which we can tell whether it's a 21 or other type razors. What a fortuitous event. I have the 16 right here. 16 over here, 21 right here. The 16 has a solid handle construction in terms of at least the knob. Okay, both handles are really hollow, of course, because you've got to have something for that turning mechanism, some way to get it up there, right? Both handles are hollow, but this one's hollow from visible from the bottom. Okay, this one has put my finger behind it so you can see there's a gap there. This surface here is not flush with that little surface in there, but this one is. See, there's no cutaway because this part doesn't move up as you loosen and open up the barn doors. As you loosen up the razor, see how it moves up and eliminates the gap. Okay, that's something to tell apart. This handle here is used on the 16 and the 66. If we look at it from the top, look in the center. There's that ridge. Here we can clearly see the top center bar there, and here it's hidden. It's underneath the barn doors there. Both of them are solid bar, as you can see. Both of them are, the base plate is not that diamond base plate. It's that solid base plate. The 66 would have the handle like this, but would have the diamond base plate right here. And that's okay. We can tell a little bit. You can see kind of the holes for the rivets right here. And on the 16 here, we've got end caps that have been soldered in place. So there's some differences to help you to know the difference between the 66 or the 16. This is the 16, but unless you can see the base plate, you don't know whether it's a 66 or a 16. And then the 15 or the 21. And of course, most 15s do have the open comb design, and they shave really well. All right, so I did happen to have another Aristocrat there to show you. All right, so let's put that spoiler in place. There's where the flat base plate, how it looks from the inside. Another thing with Aristocrats is sometimes you can date them. Sometimes it's the same per model, sometimes it's not. But see, this has these little T flanges at the end of the center bar. And I think that's a wonderful design, but unfortunately they came up with a gimmick that eliminated that T design. They came up with this, what they hoped would take off, I'm sure. It was a blade case. And the blade case, as a matter of fact, here is how the spoilers, one of the ways that they came in the blister packs. And this is what the spoiler would have on as its case. And there's the little, how you can tell it's a spoiler there. And so officially it's probably called the Gillette Super Stainless blade, but we call them spoilers just to kind of separate them from the others of similar name. Had a little piece drop off. And so the back was, pretty simple. But what the idea was is that you see you got these arrows, and blades would come out either end. It would alternate, and you would take your thumb and you would push like that until the blade started to come out. And see, the edges of the blade are hidden behind these inside this mechanism here, and so it's safe, right? That's the whole idea, was to make it safe. And so then you'd maybe do this until the blade got pushed most of the way out. And then you would take your razor, and this one has the notched center bar. It doesn't have that T-flange on it. See? Because this one was designed to work with this type of gizmo. And that little notch right there, when viewed from the side, you can see a little notch. That was intended to make it easier for you to get it up into the blade and pull the blade out of this with the razor. And then the blade now lands right there. You twist it down, and you've never come anywhere close to touching the edges of the blade. And that was a gimmick they came up with. And I don't know whether it really took off in a big way, but from that point on, they stopped having the center bar with the flanges. And if you ask me, the flanges were better because they helped the blade to really align center very, very well. But that's a little piece of history in terms of why those flanges went away and what that notch means on that center bar. All right. And so if you're looking for how to date a razor, some models, if they ever had the flanged center bar, then that means that was in their older history. And then at some point, some year, Gillette would switch and made the notched version. And then from then on, it would be the notched. And so if you have the notch, then you know it's in the latter range. If you have the flange version, that really helps you to narrow it down to a much smaller amount of time before they did the switch. All right, so let me get my face wet. And this will be a face lathering method, because when you use a shave stick style, that's pretty much what you are stuck with. You could do kind of a hybrid thing, but in general, you're applying the soap to your face, then you're bringing a wet brush to your face and starting it up. Now, if you apply a lot of soap to your face, then obviously you could take your bowl here and then take the brush that now has a lot of lather on it, a lot of kind of extra, and you could use the bowl as a reservoir, to keep the extra. But in general, it is a face lathering technique. I'm not a master of the face lathering. I've done it a lot, but it's been a while. It's not my preferred technique for my own. The priorities that I have for shaving match more closely with bowl lathering. But I figured it'd be fun to use it as a shave stick. I also have heard that a lot of people who use Williams, the mug soap that has now been discontinued, a little bit less relevant of an announcement, but they're trying to get, it's a good value soap, at least it used to be when it was about $1.25 a puck. But some people, when working it up with a brush, would have trouble. But when they used it as a shave stick, they would just pick up the puck of soap and use the edge of it. Then they would have better results, is what they would say. And so it must, so that's a tip. So if you have some different hard soaps, can be used just like we're going to now, kind of as a shave stick. So the point of a shave stick, just like I said before, have a wet face. And then we're going to take the product and rub it all over our face. Now, how do you know how much to do? How do you know how long? Because obviously, the more you go, the more soap you've got on your face. If you put like 6 passes worth on your face all at once, then you've got a whole lot of water to add to try to get it. And then you've got excess coming off and all that. So you generally do want to find kind of the balance and not go overboard, right? You also don't want to go underboard, if that's a word, because you then are frustrated a little bit because it's just not coming together as a lather like you want it to. Okay. And what I did it a couple of times with shave sticks. I've used the La Toja shave stick. I've used the Spike shave stick. The Arco, of course, is a very famous shave stick. and that may be about, oh, the Palmolive shave stick is a nice high performer as well. So I've used all those, and the method to me that matched and seemed kind of logical, and it seemed easy to do, was think about the shave stick as mowing the yard here of my beard, and I wanted to cover every piece of area 2 to 3 times. And as long as I did that, that gave me about the right amount of soap. If I covered each bit 6 times, then that gave me too much soap. If I covered it just once, it wasn't enough. So 2 to 3 times, have every piece of rub the soap over all of your face 2 or 3 times in total. And that put me in a pretty good place in the past. So let's see if that works well with the Stirling soap. Today we're dealing with a 2-day growth, approximately. All right, and water is key when you first start with the dry soap or the soap on your face. It may very quickly kind of absorb the water, and then you're really tugging on your face. And so in that case, definitely just dip it back in the water or splash some more water on your face and keep going. Okay, nothing wrong with that at all. If it starts to drag and kind of pull on you there. Also, I find that my skin doesn't like it if I rub any shave stick against the grain. Probably much more so with a 2-day growth. But so you'll find me generally moving either with the grain as I rub the stick on or across the grain. I can go 2 directions if I stay across the grain with me. It may not make a difference to you, but to me it does. It's a lot more comfortable if I do that, and I think it's just as effective. All right, so again, a little bit more water on my face here. And then let's go. Try it out. So, Sophisticate. I'm going to dip it down in the water just to get it wet. And I'm kind of going to, yeah, okay, that's working over pretty well. We're starting to see how it's starting to slow down a little bit. I'll just go back in and dip it again. And I'm not going to keep count about how many times I'm going over. Obviously, I think I'm going over more times than just 2 or 3, but since this isn't really made for shaving, I don't think it's going to matter. What I'm actually paying more attention to is is how the soap feels. Is it dragging? Is it moving over my face easily enough? Now with a shaved stick, I think I would have applied, way too much, but who knows what'll happen since it's a hand soap. All right. So this is not really a great lesson on how to use a shave stick. It's a generality, but it's just an experiment here. So now we've got a face that has a bunch of highly concentrated soap on it. Maybe this is not a good idea for people who have sensitive skin, right? Now I just pulled this out of the water, and obviously we've got tons of water in it. If you do take a fully wet brush like that to your face, then very quickly it's just going to dump a lot of that, the majority of it, out on your shirt. And so I'm going to go ahead and shake a lot of it out, because we can always add water back in as we go. All right, so it's lightly wet. I could shake out more if I wanted to. Let's give it a shot. And then it's just going to start, of course, activating. And see, you can, even with the little water that I left in it, you can see it kind of splatter. Flick around. Well, sure feels good. So we'll see. It's, a hand soap isn't really supposed to come together in the same kind of cream as a shaving soap is. Yeah, see, there's still a bunch of water in this brush. If I press down more, maybe I can start to kind of move it around. Yeah, there we go. It was kind of leaking out gradually, and I didn't really enjoy the way it was flinging around everywhere. One of the nice things about having a shelf unit right under my camera is I have easy access to show you guys a bunch of stuff when I need to illustrate my point. But if I start slinging lather everywhere, then all that stuff has a tendency to, or has a possibility of getting messy. Well, this is, I mean, it seems to be working pretty well. Because I didn't want to press too hard on the brush and kind of empty out the water onto my face, I still kind of had a lot of water in it, and I have been using just the tips to work everything onto my face instead of trying to keep it in splay, which is what I would normally do. Now this is looking really good. Look at that lather, nice creamy. So from the way the brush feels on my face, and this is not an ultra soft brush, so this would feel even better with another softer badger. But we continue to generate lather here. Pretty cool. As we are now, what we're doing is we're mixing the water, and I want to use this as a reservoir so I don't lose any of that good stuff. So we're integrating the water that's inside the brush with the soap that was on my face. And when you feel like you're kind of equalizing things, then it looks like maybe I need to start adding a little water back into the brush. Look at that. It doesn't feel too dry either. A hand soap is also sometimes not meant to be as moisturizing, you know, because you want to be able, sometimes they're a little bit moisturizing. If you're having to wash your hands a lot, then sometimes you want to choose one that imparts moisture to your hands because soap is naturally a drying kind of thing. But and so it depends on how Stirling has made their soap. But shaving soaps are often trying to help your skin to keep that moisture as well. And so that can be a difference between a shaving soap and a hand soap. Wow. This is really good. Feels great. Looks nice. Now, it is not, it's a little on the foamy side compared to like a rich cream. But like I said, I don't expect it to compete with a real shaving soap. If it's good, then I will be very pleased. All right, so the spoiler is inside the 21. Let's see what happens. Spoiler is moving through that extra growth easily. A tiny twinge of tugging is, for me, kind of expected with this much growth on. It's not as, the lather is not as slick as the shaving soap version. But it seems to be slick enough to do the job. And it's not overly thick, just an easy swish in the water is clearing the razor very well. Skin feels healthy. I bet when I do a little bit of a rinse, it's gonna, there's probably a little bit of concentrate on my skin there, and it's kind of gonna wake it up, and I'll feel some extra slickness there. And yeah, it's exactly what happened. So let's take the brush with the cream that shaving cream that I shaved up, the lather that I saved. Oh, and I don't need all that, do I? I can put some of it away. before it flops down. So we'll see if my skin feels, nourished by the end of everything. But it sure looks like if you're in a pinch or you just want to travel light, a Stirling Stirling bar soap is going to hold you in good stead as a shaving soap. All right. Cross grain now. Well, the spoiler sure is working well in this razor. Kind of mid-range. You can feel the edge of the blade, but it's very controlled. Matter of fact, I wonder if the hand soap could have some, butters and oils in it that a maker might want to not have in a shaving soap, because it might slow down the shaving process, the glide, the perception there of the glide of the razor might be affected. And so maybe the hand soap is kind of ultra moisturizing comparatively. So the rinses are feeling great. Just like I said, when the water comes to your face, the slickness just amplifies, because obviously we've got a little bit of something left on the skin. I am feeling a little bit of irritation on the skin, but it's really very minimal. I'm not usually allergic to any components. It could still be that, but I don't think so. And from saving that lather in the bowl, from that first brush of lather that we built up, that's all we needed to do. And I've got plenty of lather here to spread around. I was thinking I'd have to kind of reapply the bar perhaps, but nope, does not look necessary. And it smells really nice. A nice little woody, ambery type, soothing, manly, calm, even-keeled type note. Not soothing really, but calm, even-keeled, manly, outdoorsy kind of note. And now it definitely feels like we are moving across the face easily with, just the vast majority of the hairs trimmed. So yeah, the glide is different. A little bit slower, because I guess the hand soap just doesn't need to have good glide. and some of the ingredients that make it a good hand soap might inhibit that free movement of the razor. And there we go. Very nice. So that works well. How many shaves you're going to get from a bar of soap from Stirling? It really might be 2 or 3 months worth, maybe even more. It looks like it sure would be more than a month and a half. All right, so we're going to take the spoiler out, rinse him off and all that. I personally do like to kind of clean off my razor between uses. You don't have to, just give it a good rinse and set it aside. If you use the same blade and razor every day, nothing wrong at all with leaving the blade in the razor. I do recommend loosening it some way. In this case, opening the barn doors a little, for this type of razor. If it's a type where you have 3 pieces, you can just loosen them a little bit. just to kind of allow airflow a little on through there. So a nice shave from the 21 and the Sophisticate. It's a very enjoyable shave soap. Um, Not super. You know what? It has some remnants of the Cerberus in it. It came out a few years before Cerberus. Sophisticate, probably it was at least 2 or 3 years ago in terms of the seasonal soap releases from Stirling. And so Cerberus is obviously just using some of those ambery type, woody type notes in it. And do I have? Yep, right here. I've got Cerberus. So I'll wear that with this as a scent, and that will match wonderfully. All right, so I'm going to get a good rinse now. I could probably get another pass of lather by squeezing this guy out if I wanted to. And so the amount of work I did with that bar of soap seems to be about right. And in this case, the Paladin brush did pretty good. I'm looking forward to trying this guy with like a normal Stirling soap or another good one, you know, like Mammoth or Summer Break or Declaration, any of those good guys, you know. And because he felt better this time than he did last time I used him. Maybe this is one, and there are some of those 2-band brushes that need at least 15 minutes to soak. If you have a 2-band brush, 2-band, band number 1, band number 2, I mean maybe one, this is 1 and this is 2, who cares, but 2 distinct bands. A 3-band is like this. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and so they come from different parts of the Badger. If you have a 2-band and the tip feel, once you've got it all wet and you're working it, if the tip feel is just a little more than you would prefer, try soaking the brush for 20 minutes to 40 minutes before your shave. And I'm talking about just bristle only and not in hot water. I never recommend soaking any brush in hot water. We've got glue in here that we don't want to use heat to expand and contract with our shaves because then bristles could come loose or the whole knot could come out. Okay, so I never recommend hot water. Lightly warm, sure, no problem. And I do bristles only. And give it a long soak before your shave and see if that changes. I first noticed that in That Darn Rob version 1 or 2 brush knot that I was using, and how I discovered it was at the end of the shave it would feel much better than it would at the beginning, and that's because it had more time to soften up. So when I started giving it that time before the shave, then it was a nicer brush from start to finish. Not all 2-bands are that way, but some of them are. All right, I'm gonna get my face rinsed off and clean out some of these brushes, bowls. All right, here is what this Paladin Graphite Lotus handle looks like after it's been rinsed out really well. It's a dense brush, so give it extra rinse time. And it's a bulb shape, obviously. And I look forward to trying it out. Who knows? Maybe this is... I've had Paladin brushes with softer tips, and I wish this were that kind of knot, but maybe this is as good as I'm going to get. Who knows? We'll keep playing with it and see. The rinse was definitely one where I felt like there were like some nourishing butters and oils as a part of that hand soap that definitely made it feel different when really getting a good rinse than the normal shaving soap from Stirling. And that could be a good thing. I do feel a little bit more tender, probably because of just the rubbing of the soap on my face combined with the concentration of the soap. But I think in general I have a skin sensitivity level that's a little bit lower than average. A lot of you guys don't have problems that I do. And so I bet most of you guys wouldn't have any issue at all using this as a shaving soap on a regular basis for the bar soap from Stirling. So yes, let us use a toner, and we're going to be using lavender because that's just what I have from Thayer's, and it's got aloe in it, and as well as a little bit of witch hazel. The lavender is not going to interfere with the nice scents of the soap. And then that will pave the way at the end of the shave. I'll spray on some of the Cerberus. So that'll be a great way to go. Well, I think I've said it. It works. The Stirling bar soap works well as a shaving soap. A little slower than its normal shaving soap, but it works, and it works well. All right. Fairly slick and protective. Lather felt great with the brush, that sort of thing. Really nice. Told you about the Paladin, how it did pretty well today. I didn't notice the tips being as bothersome as they were. So who knows? Maybe this, since I gave it a longer soak today, maybe that was the key. So I'll definitely try to do that next time I shave with this brush. And the 21 was very enjoyable to use. It's a beautiful piece. I just kind of went over to my razors and just kind of picked a nice one at random. All right. Well, there we go, guys. All the best to you and yours. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. I hope there's something in here in this shave to help you out with your own shaving journey. Take care now. Good night.